Welcome to another edition of Showtime with Coop. Insightful BS with my Laker teammates, NBA legends around the league. But today it's one-on-one, all right? This is like on the schoolyard, you know, when guys want to play, you got to go, okay, I got one spot left. You two play one-on-one for the spot. So it's you and I today going one-on-one, and we're talking about the Lakers. As you see,
I think I'm able to finally take you, by the way.
I still hurt you, Ari. I'm old now. I play dirty. I cut your Achilles, I elbow you, hit you in the throat or something crazy like that. But I'm gonna call this Freaky Friday, okay, Ari? Because the Lakers are freaking me out, man. They are just killing me. They are just a mess right now. They're sitting at in the eighth spot at 22 and 23. Can you believe that, man? I just thought so much of this team, but I'm not giving up on them yet. I still believe I'm going to stick with my statement that I said at the beginning of the season, give them till after the All-Star break, and hopefully things will wash itself out. Obviously, AD being hurt doesn't help, but the biggest issue that we have right now is Russell Westbrook and his antics. You know, I really feel for the young man. I like him. I think Russell was brought in to be not the first, second, but the third clog, that third person that was going to get it done. And obviously with LeBron missing games earlier, AD's been out now for a month or so. That pushes him up to number 2. And I don't think he's set to fit that bill. As I told people, when they brought in Westbrook and Carmelo Anthony, they're bringing in players that doesn't understand how to win a championship. And I really do believe that they're starting to groove into that. But being cast in that first limelight and then all the limelight being put on Russell Westbrook, being here in Los Angeles, his hometown, has forced him to go back to his old ways. And to win championships, you have to sacrifice. You have to sacrifice part of your game. And that's something that he's not willing to do or can't do. And that's causing for all the chaos that's going on here now. His benching in his last game against the Pacers, not being able to play. And one thing I want to talk about in a few seconds is about the Lakers' best defensive lineup. It's not Westbrook. Your thoughts?
Westbrook is such an interesting player and has been his career. He's such a good player. He's just athletically on another level, and the power that he has. I mean, but this has kind of been his issue his entire career. And this is the reason why such a good player has been in so many different places, because they just can't figure it out with him. And look, I put some of this on LeBron in terms of leadership. Like, there's a responsibility for LeBron to try to guide him. Now, I'm not there, so I don't know what LeBron is doing from a leadership perspective to try to change Westbrook. But this is the kind of player that they were getting. It was on LeBron and the other leaders in the team. But I mean, don't you agree that you've got to get him to buy in early, because this is who he's been in his career, a great player, but not a winner, because he's just his own offensive ecosystem. You can't really scheme off of him because he's just a whirling dervish of craziness, and you kind of take it, the good and the bad with it. That's how he's been his entire career.
Well, I think LeBron has worked with him. I can see the change a little bit, and it doesn't help that AD is out. I think that really throws a wrench in everything with him being out. I think Russell being that superstar player that he has been and still is in the league to a certain extent, he sees that AD is out, LeBron needs help. But to win a championship, you don't have to take that burden on your shoulders and just go whirly dervish in there and try to win it all. No, you can't do that. That's where I think he has to understand, what does it take to win a championship? It takes sacrifice. I have to sacrifice a little of my game, and sometimes I have to sacrifice my offense, which he is not willing to do, which is creating another problem because, and we talked about this before, I did not know he was not that good of a perimeter shooter. I did not know that. The only shot he has going for him now is that left side of the basket bank shot. And if he's missing that, then his whole game is going downhill, because teams now are backing off of him and they're playing him for that drive and they're taking that away. And when he gets in there, now he's seeing a double, triple team, which is causing him more dilemmas because he's not able to score. So if he's not scoring in transition, he really hurts you in the half court set. And sometimes Bob McAdoo used to tell me this, Coop, I may not be the best defensive player, but my offense is my defense. So
What does that mean? I'm such a good offensive player that it doesn't matter that I don't
I
play
give it up
defense?
at the other end because I'm gonna get it back at the other end. So I think he can't think that way anymore. So I think Russell needs to go back to that old school adjective that my high school coach used to tell me. Who play defense, be a good defensive player, stop people on defense, and that'll help create excitement on your offensive end. And he's not willing to do that because he's not playing any defense. And that one play that was typical of Westbrook all season, but it was really glaring, is when I forget the player that drove by him and he just kind of like waved his hand, as Chick Hearn would just say, Matador defense. And the guy goes down and scores and put, the Pacers up by, I think it was up by 8 at that time. That is unacceptable, and that's what you can't have in great players. You have to sacrifice something, so he may have to sacrifice his offense and become a better defensive player.
By the way, if McAdoo were here, he'd be screaming at you for comparing him to Westbrook. Man, I was a way better shooter and played scorer than him. What are you talking about, Coop?
Well, with all this going on, the Lakers find themselves in the 8th spot, which is a very, very bad spot for them because, again, as you get closer to, they're more than halfway over the season now, but we're hoping and praying that things go well to the All-Star break so that they can regather themselves. That is not a good place for the Lakers to be. That 8th or 7th spot is not good.
By the way, Russ is kind of like the anti-Michael Cooper. Because Coop, you're the ultimate buy-in guy. You're the ultimate teammate, ultimate team player, leader, defensive stalwart. Like, does that tick you off? Does that piss you off to see what he's doing?
It makes me upset because I know that Russ has that in him. And again, it all goes back to understanding how to win a championship. And if you buy into that and you buy into it early.
Buy-in.
I did. I mean, went to the finals 9 times. We won it 5 times. So at least you're getting there. So that's what it's about. And I think you hit it right. That's not buying in. And
it's great. That's the upsetting part is how do you not get a buy? Like, you just can't believe, I've watched the league and covered the league. You obviously are a prolific player in the history of the league. Like, it just seems so simple, like buy in. Like, it's so crazy to me that like he can't even do the first thing that he needs to do, which is just the most simple part. Just, do you want to win a championship? Your entire career, you've been labeled as a guy that can't win, or as a guy that is not part of winning teams because you don't have the winning culture. So do you care about that? Does that matter to you?
No, it's going to have to, because things are, if it don't turn around, I think in the next 3 weeks or month or after the All-Star break or before the trade deadline, I think something's going to happen. I think with Russ, I think part of his problem is being back here in LA and trying to show all his friends and family and everybody there that I'm still that guy. And to win a championship, again, you have to sacrifice. And usually older players can do that. I think Michael Jordan, you got a chance to see him when his athleticism was weighing down. Michael started counting on his teammates a little bit more, moving closer to the basket, posting up, became a very good post-up player. Same thing with Kobe. So I think Russ has to understand that, and you got to get out of that that me, myself, and I attitude right now. And I think you get in because it's wearing on LeBron. You can see it on his face now when Russ do certain things that are detrimental to the team. LeBron kind of like gives that. And it's sad. It's sad because I really thought that bringing all those 4 guys here, Carmelo Anthony, and we're going to get on him next because he's the next one. Was going to be this miraculous thing. Yes, I knew they were older players. Yes, you can't do the things you used to do, but still, sometimes to give up that youthfulness, that athleticism that you possess when you're young, you give that up for maturity, knowledge, wisdom, and hopefully that can get you over the hump to winning a championship.
Do you want to get in Carmelo? Because the other, there's some of your former teammates there's some drama here between your teammates. So what do you want to get into first?
Carmelo? We can do Carmelo. I think Carmelo, and I never say Carmelo's a quitter, and I don't know what his injury is, and I hope it's not that bad. But the way he sits over there now, it's almost like he's kind of like, oh, here it goes again with every team I've been on, going with the end of his career in Denver and then transferring over to Portland. And he didn't get to start there, and I think he went down, but he kind of gathered himself. And Carmelo's a professional, but after a while, when things don't go well with the team, you can kind of see him just sitting back and it's that same look he had in Portland. he has now early with the Lakers. And that's sad to see, because I think Melo is the one player that can really still do what Bob McAdoo said, because I think Carmelo's a tough guard, man. He can still score.
Yeah,
Not the
he can
greatest
shoot. He can
player.
still shoot. Kid
Yeah,
can still shoot.
not the greatest defensive player at the other end, but he still holds his own. I think he rebounds, and with his size, he boxes out well. But now he's not given that, and he's not being counted on as a reckoning force on the offensive end. And whenever you get a little injury, you use that injury and just sit down and don't play basketball. And I hope that's not the case, because Carmelo's a good dude, man. I really like him and respect him a lot. But I can tell something is weird, because I know that young man real well. I can see it on his face now. He sits there with his fashionable hoodie on and things like that. And that doesn't sit well with me either. So that's another story.
No, I mean, look, sometimes, you know, and obviously I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but like when you invite guys into your locker room, like Russell Westbrook and Carmelo Anthony, there's the chance that those guys buy in and they become. Bob McAdoo is a great example. He was labeled as, you know, a guy that only wanted to score and was a loser his entire career, right? And then he comes there and he buys in and he wants to win a champ. Like, I don't know if that's just a lack of pride thing for some of those guys in particular, because they've had similar labels in their careers as well. But like there's a lot on LeBron. I hate to continue to say like it's on LeBron's leadership to do this, to get them to buy in, but it's just weird. It's like, why would you come here with the expectation being what it is, playing with LeBron at this part of his career where like the only thing you're going to do is win championships or trying to do? Like, what? I don't really understand what those two guys in particular expected, you know? Like,
I don't know. I'm like you, all right. I do. When you come to LA is not a regular team organization.
Right.
LA, when you come to LA, Boston, I think Golden State is establishing that rapport about its organization. Now, when you go to these organizations, it ain't about just competing. It's not about winning the Western Conference Championship. It's not about making it to the first round, second. It's about getting to the finals with an opportunity to win. And if you don't understand that, then you need to go and play for the other teams. But now all these other teams, Memphis, Minnesota, I really like them. Chicago, these teams are starting to reestablish themselves with younger players, and those younger players are learning how to get there. And once they get that taste in their mouth about this is what it takes to win a championship, they're not going to lose that taste. That's something that you're going to have to do. So people coming into the organization are going to have to buy in or get bought out. And I think that's what's getting ready to happen with the Lakers, unfortunately, trying to see down the road, because they're going to have to make a move. And if they don't, then heads will roll, and it'll start with Coach Vogel's. Maybe even higher. It might go up to the general manager.
So, okay. So that leads me to sort of the, you know, drama with your former teammates. So, couple of weeks
ago. I saw where
now,
after the big ugly loss in Denver, Magic tweeted, Jeannie Buss deserves more, which she does, because she's following her father's legacy and establishing what we have at the Lakers. And then LeBron coming back saying it's on me. Yes, I do. I haven't heard anything after that. Is there more after that?
So, okay. So the full tweet from Magic, this was last Saturday. After being blown out by the Nuggets 133-96, we as Lakers fans can't accept being outplayed, but we deserve more than a lack of effort and no sense of urgency. Owner Jeannie Buss, you deserve better. Good tweet there from Magic.
Damn good tweet. And I will tweet that, retweet it. I'm saying that again. Totally. I think it's absolutely right.
And I mean, you guys, you in particular, but the Showtime Lakers, like that's everything that they exemplified: winning, culture, effort, urgency. I mean, that's Showtime.
I'm respecting that Laker uniform, man. Putting that on, respecting where you are. And you know what? Not gonna win every game, but you damn sure better play hard every game. You better do what it takes to win every game. Dive on the floor, and you don't see that.
So Kurt Rambis is kind of taking on more of a larger role, and I'm not even sure if you're even sure what his actual role is, but he started to sit on Frank Vogel's meetings now, coaching meetings. I think I'd imagine he has an idea of how he thinks they should be playing. That's a weird dynamic, isn't it?
Well, I think Kurt was brought in more just kind of like to oversee things and kind of make sure the ship is righted, and didn't really have too much of a say so the last couple of years. But again, Kurt has won championships. Kurt knows what it's about. His wife is up there in the hierarchy. So Linda, she's definitely has her fingerprints on what's going on with the Laker map. And I think with Kurt standing in there, and yeah, so that's why I said things are getting ready to change now because it's an emergency time. This team wasn't built to be a 500, a minus 500 team. This was supposed to be a 500, 600 team. We knew there was going to be some struggles because, again, AD is always injured. That's his career profile. LeBron's going to load management, set out some games. So it was going to be a struggle. But to be at the bottom of the list and possibly going to sink even lower because they're on a tough road trip now, going into the All-Star break, it's going to be hard. So, yeah, things are changing and people are assuming different roles now.
And then on this front, did you see or hear what Charles Barkley had to say on TNT about this?
No, I did not.
Okay, so here's Barkley on the Lakers' current situation. This was on TNT's Inside the NBA on Thursday night.
I just want to say, so I never root. Because I don't care who wins. I mean, I just want the season to be over so we can go play golf and fish.
All right, let's.
But I root. The Lakers are such wussies, and I only say wussies because I can't say the word I want to say.
I know.
The way they have tried to throw Russell Westbrook and Frank Vogel under the bus is just really pissing me off. And I got to tell you something.
Oh no! Hey, we've got a guest standing by.
Well, the Lakers still suck when we get back from this interview.
Okay. Well,
no, he was playing. I'm still mad. Now listen, I'm not going to sit down like all these clowns on other networks got their head up the Lakers' booties. Now, they're blaming Frank Vogel and Russell Westbrook. Listen, the people up top who put that trash together are running and hiding like cowards, saying, oh, it's Frank, it's Russ. You put all them old geezers out there. Listen, the best guy other than LeBron in the last month has been who? Stanley Johnson. Yeah. And for y'all to be bringing a guy who was on the street and he becomes your second best player, and the general, whoever running that trash out there getting away, it's ridiculous, man. I just want.
He was so. Hold on one second.
I have to agree with Charles. I have to agree. I think Rob Pelinka now. I think Jeannie. And Jeannie's not running and hiding from this, but again, her job is to oversee, like her father. Her father oversees it, and she stays out of the way, and she lets the general manager. When Dr. Buster's here, he let Jerry West do his thing. Obviously, they got to report to him, and then it rolls. And that's Rob Pelinka. And again, when they put this team together, I really, really thought that it could be something special because, again, you had two players, Melo and Westbrook, at the end of their career, and okay, I've won all the individual accolades. Let me see what it feels like to be part of a team and a real team and win a championship. But again, Charles, people can be put out there, and yes, those guys were older players, but they have to buy in. Frank Vogel, I think, the COVID has really, really distorted the whole NBA in itself. And again, the teams that have survived it, Phoenix, Golden State, just to name a two, and Memphis, you still, it's just throwing a loop in everything. So players are missing and
totally rotations and rhythm. Yeah, I mean,
it's just all off. So did the Lakers get off to a good start? I don't really think so. But again, we knew that was going to happen. But understanding what Charles is, yeah, players have to be held accountable. Yes, Westbrook, yeah, should be held accountable. This guy throws the ball away, can't shoot a jump shot, not buying in. Coach Vogel been in and out, and it's hard to have some consistency with your coaching staff and then putting that forward to the team. So I like a lot of things Charles has said, but I do disagree because you got to remember, Charles ain't never won a championship either. So he don't know what it's like. And again, for him to make his statement, that's his own opinions. I respect his opinion because he's one hell of a player that's ever played in this league. But to say that Westbrook and Vogel shouldn't be held accountable, I think that's wrong. Because again, everybody should be held. Yeah, okay, Rob Pelinka, you got to put your head out there now and start talking about it. And the others. I do feel that the Laker hierarchy, not running and hiding, but again, is still letting this play itself out. And I think Rob, Jeannie, Kurt Rambis, and all the people up above that are just sitting and watching and waiting to see, because the players have to be held accountable and the coach has to be held accountable. But again, like we just talked about, COVID going around has really thrown a wrench in the Lakers' procession of trying to build a championship team. And it's been hard and it's been ugly to watch. But like I said, me, former Laker, I'm a diehard Laker, got my Laker shirt on. I'm not running and hiding. I believe, and I will stick with what I said, I'm going to wait till after the All-Star break before I really. And even if they sink, I'm going to go down with the ship. But it's going to be hard for me not to talk about it.
I mean, look, so I think there's a couple things that Barkley said there. Like, number one, Barkley's mad at a television network, and we can all figure out who he's talking about. That's not TNT, obviously. That is basically pumping up the Lakers because it benefits them from doing so, and then basically using Vogel and Westbrook as the scapegoats, right? So that's part of this. Barkley's just mad about turning the TV on and seeing that and not giving the full context. The Lakers, nobody has any control over that. The other part to this is the Vogel thing, and that is, I mean, coaches, whether justified or not, bear the responsibility when things go south.
Yeah, they do. And you know what? It's unfortunate and it's sad that that's the way it is. But yeah, they're the ones coaching the team. You got to put a product out there that the fans enjoy. You got to put a product out there and guys understand what they're doing, your philosophy on offense, your philosophy on defense. And when that's misconnecting, yeah, it's you. It's the coach that gets blamed for it. So that's unfortunate, but it's true. And Frank knows that, being in Indiana and other places he's been around. And it's just that the spotlight is a little hotter, a little brighter in Los Angeles and in Boston.
Very true. And definitely for Lakers too. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys, Los Angeles Lakers, New York Yankees. I mean, those are your premier franchises in all of sports in the world. Now, with all that being said, Coop, they still have LeBron, right? Like, LeBron's still in the Lakers?
Yep.
He's still really good. Last I checked, still playing really good.
He's holding his own for a guy that's plus 30, over 35. He's
played 2 Michael Cooper careers throughout the play, whether it be the playoffs and the regular. Sure. I mean, holy cow, he's played a lot of games and minutes if you include the playoffs. If Anthony Davis can just get healthy, honestly, if you just Westbrook can pay him, even if you can't trade him, just pay him to go away. Melo, the same thing. I'll still take those two. If Anthony Davis can stay healthy, I'll still take those two. As bad as it looks, those two with a bunch of role players can figure this thing out, Coop.
I do believe it. I'm with you. And I think you got some young players like Monk is coming into his own, still kind of erratic, and he's making mistakes because he's learning how to do this. I think you got Avery Bradley still a piece. I'm still waiting to see Kendrick Nunn come and play. I think he's going to add a different dimension to them. But again, it's all about injuries. Obviously, the Lakers are bombarded with a lot of injuries. And when you have one of your key people, AD, being injured, but again, his injuries are freakish and real unfortunate. You just go ahead and roll with it. But I'm with you. I'm going to stay with the Lakers. I don't like what I see, but I'm accepting of it because that's the nature of this game. We went through it after the 80s. We went through a little slide. Nick Van Exel, Eddie Jones, that period. Then we brought in Shaq and Kobe, and they blew us out of the water. And then Shaq leaves, and then we kind of go through it. And that's where we are right now, is kind of finding our way through this because we brought in LeBron and AD. They get the championship done. So I'm on. How you
gonna do Nick and Knight and Eddie Jones like that?
Well, I was coaching that team, and that team never bought in with who was the coach? Dale. The coach. I forget his name right now, but he was really trying to work with that team. Nick Van Exel, Eddie Jones, Eldon Campbell. I thought we had a good mix right there. And Nick was so defiant all the time that it just really never panned out the way it should have.
Del Harris.
That was the period that Del Harris, he had to go through that. And right then at the end, when it looked like the bottom was about to fall out, the Lakers, Jerry West pulls a miracle out of the hat with Kobe Bryant, and even Kobe couldn't help that as they did their slide and their wiggle worm until Dale left, and then you bring in some more players, and Shaq comes, and then the whole thing turns around. So I think what you're seeing is that point of time. You kind of want to deny it, but again, it's happening.
Well, and this is what makes the NBA so compelling. It's a talent-driven league, but as you know, Coop, it's about the egos and the locker room and like that, you can have a ridiculously talented team, but if the egos aren't working, and egos clash, I mean, I'd say a coach in the NBA probably more responsible for getting buy-in and egos to work together more than anything else. Schematics be damned.
Yeah.
If you have a coach that understands the mentality of how to get like guys to defer egos and buy in, then you've got a great coach, and that's a really difficult thing to do.
And then it helps when you're a star player like LeBron is able to help those guys with the transition coming from bad teams to a good team and help them understand what it takes. But Ari, enough with the Lakers right now. I'd like to switch to one more little thing before we go. And that is, my wife was showing me something. I'm not big on Instagram and all that internet stuff and social media stuff, but she showed me that Michael
for people
Cooper,
that are listening to this, Coop does not do, he doesn't do any of his Twitter. He doesn't do any of it.
I comment when tweeting. My wife asked me, but I don't do it.
Right.
Say, what do you want to say? So I give it to her. But yeah,
so it's Coop's words. He's just not doing it.
Exactly. But she came across something that just really made my life happy. And right now I need anything to make me happy the way the Lakers are playing. And I think all of us need that. So I'm going to pass this little bit of happiness to our listeners out there. All right, I made the all-time Laker assist list, the top 10 Laker assists of all time. And the number 1 player is Magic. The number 2 player is Kobe. The number 3 was Jerry West. Number 4 was Norm Nixon. And number 5 was your boy, Michael Cooper. I ran around the house. I wasn't naked. I had my shorts on. But I ran around the house and I was yelling and stuff. Number 6 is Kareem. Number 7 is Elgin Baylor. Number 8 is Gail Goodrich.
Wait, you didn't know this?
I did not know this. And number 9 is James Worthy. And number 10 is so I was so elated about this. And I was watching the game. It's a Pacer game. I was watching it and I just got excited. Well, it was right after the game, and I was kind of sad. And then my wife showed me that. I got excited again. You're
probably on multiple aren't you on like their all-time steals list? I mean, what do you like? These are.
I don't look at that stuff because I don't go online.
You didn't know that you were 5th of the all-time Lakers assist numbers.
Yes, number 5. All right, that is something special, man.
It's incredible. When you first brought it up, I was like, "What do you mean? It's a number." Like you just go look. Like, how do you mean you? Like I thought you were saying like they made a list of like the great passers, in like Lakers history, and you were on it.
Man. Number 5, I moved into the starting lineup. I was a 6th player, 6th man with the Lakers, and I moved into the starting lineup. Number 5. I was excited about that. I can't wait till the list come out for all-time rebounders.
Magic, Kobe, the logo, Norm Nixon, and you.
And Cooper Loop. Chick Hearn would I wonder what he would say.
Wait, the funniest thing is you're only ahead of Kareem by 6.
I have the numbers, and I don't care.
Oh, no, 14.
My position, I don't care. And see, Kareem will never pass me because he'll never play again.
So, and you've got 3,666. So you got the devil too. You're stuck on the devil.
My God.
You got to return and get one more.
Listen, I watched Magic in practice and in games, man. I knew how to pass. I always tell people I was the second best passer in Laker history, not the second. Coop, you're number 5. So I'm okay with that, man.
So, okay. So were you a combo guard then? Was that what you?
Well, I came in as a small forward to play behind Jamal Wilkes. That was my position when I first joined the Lakers in 1980. Well, 79. I was hurt.
Right.
80. But I was coming in to replace to give Jamal a breather. Then they got rid of Norm, so they moved me over to play behind as a shooting guard. To be out there with Magic because it made us a little taller. And then when they brought in, who they bring in, Butch Lee or somebody like that to come in behind Magic. He wasn't a good point guard because Butch was more of a scoring guard. Then they said, okay, Coop, we're going to move you over and you play behind Magic. And Pat Riley made that adjustment. He was like, Coop, you know what? I'm going to move you over here, but I'm going to still use you at the other 3 spots. So that means you'll be on the court a lot. So I worked on my ball handling skills a little bit more, started watching Magic, started trying to make some of the passes that he did in practice to the guys. And again, it's not hard to throw to Kareem because Kareem got his hand up there. You just lob it up there. So, but them other passes to Worthy, Silk, I could never make those passes, but I was able to get the ball there. So
Did Kareem get pissed if you give him a bounce pass?
Oh, yeah, he did that one time. True story. True story. All right. I gave him a bounce pass in practice one day. As I was throwing it in there, Kareem kicked the ball. Coop, don't throw me no motherfucking bounce passes. Throw the ball. And it scared me so bad. This is like my 4th year in the league. It scared me so bad. I never, ever threw another bounce pass to Kareem. This is in practice. We're practicing. So I thought a really nice bounce pass. He kicked the fucking ball all the way over to the other side of the court. You were at Loyola Marymount. They got 2 courts on the other side. He kicked it all the way over there. Coop, don't throw me no fucking bounce pass. Throw the ball in the air. That goes back for when he was playing with Wooden, because Wooden wouldn't allow players to throw him bounce passes. So, as fundamental as Wooden was, you weren't allowed to throw a post player a bounce pass unless he's shorter. If they're taller, you have to throw it in the air. But like if Magic or somebody like that, Norm Nixon is posting up, then you can give them a little bounce pass. But
you're just not going to take, if you throw it high, like Kareem's like, I'm 7'6", dude.
Exactly.
Like nobody's
throwing a fucking ball around my knees, man.
That's amazing.
So there you have it. We're gonna end on that note, all right, because it's always nice to end when you're talking about the Lakers.
Wait, hold on 1 second though. 1 second. So it's funny though, because we hear all the time now, like they play positionless basketball. The modern NBA is positionless basketball. And so what you're saying, Coop, is you played positionless basketball in the Showtime Lakers, right? Like that's what you're saying. You played a bunch.
Right.
A lot of teams were rigid and this is our 1, this is our 2, blah, 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 blah. But now teams, everybody, if you're 5, you might play the 1. I mean, a lot of 5s are handling the ball now. LeBron handles the ball, whatever, he plays the 5 a ton. He's been playing the 5 a ton. So you were, I don't know how much it was going on in the league before you came around, but was that stuff happening? Like, because what you're describing is, you're playing 1, 2, 3. I mean, you came in as a 3, you ended up at 5th in the all-time assist numbers for the Lakers. Was that
backup
common?
Point guard? And that's a great note that you made there. All right. Right now, when I work with young kids in AAU basketball, and I had this one kid, I'm not going to mention his name, but he was kind of a big kid for them. This was like 4 years ago. And he kept telling me, Coach, you got to teach me how to be a guard. And I was telling him, I said, son, listen, I'm going to teach you how to be a basketball player. Okay. I'm going to teach you how to do it, to play it. Right. The height will determine what position you play. And I guess he wasn't getting it, but the kid ended up leaving my program. Now, all the kids he came in there, my son included, all of them have exploded now since then. And this kid is left behind now. And now he was upset about it. So what I say about kids and teaching high school, college, learn how to be a basketball player. Your height will determine what position you play. Yeah, and your skill set. So if you get all that skill set and learn how to play, and that's what I'm talking about, be fundamentally sound, know good defense, no ball handling, know how to box out, know how to post up. Some guards don't want to post up. Why don't you want to post up? And my son, Dad, why am I? Coach, you need to know how to post up, dude.
Right.
Right now, you're
in the house.
6 feet
That's
tall.
Why.
In 4 years, you might be 6 or 7 feet tall, and you got to learn how to post up. So that was the thing that I learned in high school from my high school coach, George Turner. He passed away about 3 years. He taught me how to be a basketball player. And that was very, very important. And that's what I respect and appreciate so much about Kareem, because at Power Memorial, then going to UCLA, Kareem was taught how to be a basketball player. And that fact that he kicked the ball out of there, yeah, that's a sign of being a basketball player. Good basketball players know who to throw it to and how to throw it to people in the post. So, yeah, it was a great story. But that was what happened to me. Came in the league as a small forward, went out of the league as a backup point guard, but yet I was able to play all 3 of those positions and sometimes a 4. When we went to our small lineup, I was a 4 player sometimes, depending on who we were playing.
And look, I get dunks and threes important, but also scoring's important. So scoring from anywhere on the floor is important. So to your son, and it's like we watched so many great guards that were great post players. Or if you're 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", and you get a 6-foot guy in you, mouse in the house, right? 5'11", get down to the block and go. It can't always just be about threes and dunks and layups, right? I mean,
and you know what, Ari, also the old art of setting a pick, like a cross pick on a big, kids don't understand how important that is. And now you watch the NBA and you'll see a guy and all of a sudden the referee's pointing the other way as a legal pick. There are things that you have to learn, and all of that goes with learning how to be a basketball player. And that is important to me. And that's what I try to teach. But yeah, I mean, just to see those type of players. And I think we were the first ones until Detroit came a little bit later. And then Detroit started using that 3-guard rotation where Vinny would come in as a point guard. Yeah. And next thing you know, by the fourth quarter, Vinny's at the small forward position, posting you up and still scoring. So those are some of the nuances that I think that kids have a tendency to forget. And they need to learn how to do it so you can become that player. And if God, the basketball guys, leads your path to the NBA, you'll know how to play. And it's not about just being in the NBA. It's about staying in the NBA. And people that stay in the NBA, sometimes you'll get a specialist that can do nothing but shoot. Bob McAdoo. And then you get like a journeyman, Kurt Rambis, because he understands how to play the game, is there for 13, 14, 15 years. And that's the fun part about this game to me.
Man, I can talk basketball with you for days.
All right, I got some more stories. And like, you brought that one out of me, the Kareem. I had totally forgot about that one, but
the ball.
My memory fade comes and goes.
Lesson learned. Lesson learned.
Oh, I never threw it to him again because I knew if that were to happen, I wasn't going to play anymore. Right. Our play was fist up. Fist up was to get to this picture here. Get the ball to Kareem so he can throw that sky hook on your ass.
It's funny you even needed like a side for it. You know, like Riley should have just been like, yeah, throw it to Kareem. Like it would have made a difference.
Our call was this for Kareem. When we want to go to Kareem, it wasn't no 5 up, 5 down. It was fist up. And everybody in the arena already knew where we were going. When we put our fists up, we knew where we were going. And so it wasn't nothing you could do. You couldn't front the guy. You had to play behind him. And when he got it, Kareem was such a prolific passer that he didn't care because he was double teaming and he was going to drop it off to somebody else. So that's Laker basketball.
He was a good passer, not as good as you, though.
Oh, that's right, baby. Number 5 on the list. And then
14 more in his career.
Well, Ari, I'll tell you, we have to laugh about this because we would be crying if this was not.
I'm glad you brought this up to live in the show because you're right. It was a depressing first 15 minutes, and now this has become a really fun show. Good work, Coop.
Hey, you know what? Lakers. Well, I'm not gonna say they win the championship. I'm gonna put myself way out there, but the Lakers are gonna do better.
All-Star break. We don't All-Star break. If they get Anthony Davis healthy and consistent,
Lakers gonna win the championship. I'm gonna put it out there. All right, great show, man. Thank you, sir. That's it for another edition of Showtime with Coop. And Insightful BS with my boy Ari today. ATRATAT in the house. Bye.
See you, brother.